Welcome back. Today's video is about how BRICS rejected the US dollar. Wow. So they rejected 50% of the US dollar. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this. If you like this content, hit the likes button, subscribe, and maybe the notification bell. And here we go. So the intra BRICS trade is now being dominated by the local currencies as 50% of trade were settled in the China's yuan and not in the US dollar. According to the independent think tank for central banking OMFIF. I don't even know what that means. Um, Apart from the Chinese yuan, the alliance used multiple national currencies to bypass the US dollar for cross border settlements. This makes the greenback less used in the global markets as the BLOC advances the de-dollarization agenda. Oh, I also forgot that this article was by I I'm probably going to butcher your name, and I apologize, but it's Vinod Souza, Souza. Thank you for this article, man. Um, like I said in a previous video that I did earlier with Bricks, they were saying like they was trying not to make the, make the collapse of the dollar, like not seem like it was a big deal when didn't they just start this like 2 years ago? And you mean to tell me within 2 years? Because the first year's got to be the test year. The second year is probably the year when I'm going to start practicing it or fixing out the kinks or the bugs in it. So if this is the third year or maybe the second year, they were able to do 50%. That means that 50% of our money was not used. They was able to bypass 50% of the US dollar. Now, to you, that may not seem like a large amount, but to me, that's a huge amount. 50% for something that they're just starting out in the first, trial few years. And I think that's crazy. That is crazy. What does this mean? What does this mean? They were able to handle 50%. I mean, like I said, for me, that's alarming. That's alarming. That only means like next 2, maybe 3 years, they could be at 100% capacity, and that's if like I said, being that they're doing this and they're doing their currencies digitally. Who's to say? Who's to say how much influence AI could boost? Because they're probably not going to need us to be doing it. So AI is probably going to be able to cut the steps that would delay and be able to push it faster to process this. You know, I'm I'm just saying. I'm just saying this is crazy how this just started and it was able to handle 50% of the trade. 50% of the trade in Chinese yuan. So let me know what y'all think about this. Let me know what you think about this. Um, I think this is gonna I don't know what to think. I think of a lot of things, and I think being that money ain't gonna circulate there. I think that money is gonna be back here in the U.S. for us, and I think we're gonna have all this extra money. That we're probably gonna have a hyperinflation just to keep it circulating. And maybe who knows? After a while, they might say, you know what? They might want to get rid of it, and then boom, we have our own. digital currency that could, I don't know, y'all. I don't know, but like I said, I'm just doing this right now and kind of and keeping track with this because time as we know it is speeding up. Time is speeding up. Like I said, we are already in July, about to be in August. It still feels like the ending of January for me. I'm just saying all of this to, once again, open your Bibles. Read. Talk to God. Read with your heart. Read to learn as if you're reading. Read the Bible as if you're reading instructions to do the Heimlich maneuver or to perform CPR. It's for your life. It's for your soul. Read. And don't just read it and let it out one ear. Remember it like how you remember some books you might have read from when you were younger. Remember that. Remember it like how like when you went to school and you learned the subjects, and like how treat it greater than math. Like how you had to learn math, you had to learn how to count, you had to learn how to spend money, you had to learn to get your change back. Same thing with the Bible. Read it and apply it. Apply it. It really is a game changer. You're really going to see the world for what it really is. You know, and you got to have this mentality. Like how could y'all have this mentality? Like, well, y'all don't care what people think, and y'all do y'all life. But then when you start, if you was to start reading on, if you was to start, you start thinking about what they think. But why? It shouldn't matter. It's not going to matter when you're standing face to face with God, one on one, and He's going to ask you and give an account for what you did in your life and have done, and what have you done in your life. Time is getting short. Time is getting short. Time is getting really, really short. Time is really short, and I'm just praying that when y'all see any content that is righteous content, you know I pray that it opens your eyes and that it edifies you and that you take it in and you just constantly prepare and be ready. Be ready for when the day comes, when the Lord comes. You are ready and you can see Him in all His glory and not be like those people that see Him in all His wrath. That'll be the ending of this video. Once again, hit the like, subscribe button if y'all like content like this. Leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think. If there's something I missed, something y'all want to say, something that you want me to cover and talk about, throw in those comments. One love, one brethren, and I'm out.